Forbidden City is huge, 72 hectares. That is equivalent to about the size of 90 football pitches. We can actually stay here for like 3 days just to see all those buildings which are open to the public, see them in details. But today we'll be visiting the most important ones, to see the most important buildings built along the central axis. And the emperor's entrance, this gate is called the Meridian Gate, because that emperor thought that his residence was built along the Meridian line. Hence the name the Meridian Gate. Yeah, the central gate was reserved for the emperor only, and the empress had one chance to go through the central entrance when they get married with the emperor. Yeah, and the three scholars who scored the highest would have the honor to walk through the central gate once again. So there are the only two kinds of people who have the privileges to walk through the central gate in the past. And the Forbidden City also divided into two parts, the outer court and the inner court. The outer court, there are three major palaces over here, the three major palaces in the outer court. And this building over here, that's the entrance to the outer court. And the outer court here were the places where the emperor to hold the important celebrations, like their birthdays, the winter solstice, the Chinese New Year. But they do not come to this area very often, like 3 or 4 times a year. Yep. They spend most of their time in the inner court in this area. Inner court with their empresses, concubines, and palace maids. They spend the most time in that area. There are many small buildings flanked on the both sides of the central axis. There were the living quarters for those concubines, because the emperor had so many concubines in the past. And the last major spot along the central axis is the garden, Imperial Garden. And we'll be seeing that garden. When we finish that tour of the Imperial Garden, we can go a little bit eastward. As I noticed, you have booked some ticket for the Hall of Treasures. We can visit that part of the Forbidden City. So that area like a small version of the Forbidden City, like a small Forbidden City. Okay?
Did each one add a bit more to it, or that was finished sort of by the
pretty much all of those buildings finished by the third. Yeah, they did add a lot of different buildings, but unfortunately, most of the buildings have been burned down for a couple of times in their history. They rebuilt the buildings very similar in the original layout, very similar to the original building. So they spent 14 years to build the whole thing. The construction of the Forbidden City involved in 1 million laborers and 200,000 artisans. 14 years to build the whole thing. Yeah. If one guy wants to experience all the different rooms on daily basis, it's gonna take like 25 years. And then the dynasty which are passed down for many generations. This was the 16th emperor in the Ming dynasty, the last emperor in the Ming. And in 1644, those peasant uprising army attacked his dynasty and then attacked the city of Beijing, and they could come into the Forbidden City at any time. So he summoned his ministers and generals, tried to fight those people off, but there's nobody responded. He got so desperate and went up to a hill located behind the Forbidden City and committed suicide by hanging himself out there. And then those Manchurian people, they defeated those peasant uprising army and occupied the Forbidden City. Actually, they took over the whole country and started their own dynasty called Qing dynasty, the last feudal dynasty in China's history, from 1644 to 1911, which lasted for 267 years. So the last emperor, Qing, who lived in the Forbidden City from 1908, when he became the emperor, till 1924, when he was driven out of the Forbidden City. And that was the last emperor in China's history. I will be learning something about him when we get to the major palace. Okay, so 24 emperors lived here for nearly 500 years. 14 Ming and the other 10 were Qing, or those Manchurian people. Okay, and in 1924, when the last emperor who was driven out of the Forbidden City, and next year, 1925, the whole complex opened to the public as a palace museum. So in Chinese, we still call this place as the Palace Museum instead of the Forbidden City. Yeah. So next year is going to be the 100th anniversary of the Palace Museum. So it's going to be a big celebration. Yeah. All right. So the history of the Forbidden City is 604 years.